I just wanted to do a little video here, which was kind of having a little bit of discussion about the futility of the world, um, as to whether there is really meaning in this world, or as to whether the world is futile and everything it is futile, um, and kind of trying to kind of discuss this as to whether the the concept of the world being futile goes both ways within there being within the worldview of atheism and the worldview of theism. And first of all, I think that um, that the existentialists like Albert Camus and Simone de Beauvoir very well, they very well show that this world is futile. There's no very that it's absurd, or it's ambiguous. De Beauvoir uses the word ambiguity, and Camus used the word absurdity. Um, so with respect to that, those books in existentialism pretty well show, in my opinion, um, the fact that this world has certain, um, either we can develop certain concepts of ambiguity or futility, or absurdity in this world. For one thing, um, absurdity meaning that, the that's what Camus does. It's like the um, the analogy of Sisyphus, um, trying to push the rock, trying to push the boulder up a hill, and only to have the whole thing fall down again, and he has to keep on doing it, and the whole thing never stops. So, and then going to De Beauvoir, she discusses how we try to we try to advance our certain projects, and we end up, um, you know getting struck with this ambiguity, um, in that, um, stuff doesn't always work out, stuff falls apart, and stuff doesn't work out towards a certain end or a certain meaning. Uh, to the point, I can kind of discuss these things of ambiguity and absurdity and all this. I can go on with that quite a bit. Um, I do have videos on De Beauvoir, and I do have a video on Camus in my existentialism playlist. But pretty much what I'm trying to discuss here is like, if I'm gonna try and discuss this, am I gonna try to, um, use I mean, I guess preferably I would, prefer to use De Beauvoir's idea of ambiguity. Um, and what they both say is that we have to either accept this absurdity or ambiguity. And Camus says that we have to choose the biggest philosophical question as to whether, this life is worth living, because of this absurdity that we keep pushing. Analogically, we keep pushing the rock up the hill, and we never get to the top, and it keeps falling back down, and we keep on going like this. Um, and then with De Beauvoir, we have these projects, and um, they fail, and we get struck with this ambiguity in the face, and we try to advance our projects, and trying to do this, keeps us that this causes us to continue to have this ambiguity struck in our face. So, the one question is it best to try to understand the world as a more subtle term of ambiguity or absurdity, or saying that this place is that this place is ambiguous. Absurd would be, or the idea of absurdity would be a little bit um, more negative. But if we want to go further, as the antinatalists and ethicists will say, of futility. Futility is what you know is a that's a word that antinatalists on YouTube will use. But Benatard, is that's the main book, I would say. But he kind of discusses how it's better for us to not exist because of the suffering, and there's an asymmetry between existence and non-existence, as well as between pleasure and pain, and that it's better that we don't exist, and we need to bring down existence, get this message out. Gary, on the F-list channel, has a great video. It's called "We Have the Power to Free Sisyphus." That is a very good video about antinatalism, and he uses that Camus kind of idea of, well, there's basically the Sisyphus analogy, and he's saying that we can free Sisyphus. So we could go as far as to say that this place is futile. So I wouldn't say that it's futile. I would say that I would say that the world is futile, but I would say that this world down here is meaningless, ambiguous. Actually, futile would be a good way to say it. But the fact is that regardless of whatever religion you have to accept this. This is something that we all have to accept. Atheists, it's very easy for atheists to accept the fact that this place is meaningless, ambiguous, futile. But it's a little bit harder for theists because of the idea that God puts in issues of meaning in there, and makes it harder for us to understand this place as ambiguous. I am a theist, however, I do believe that this place is ambiguous and futile and meaningless and absurd. This world down here is. However, it's futile in that everything here that we can possibly do is a mere chasing into the wind. If you are a theist and or an atheist, if you read the Bible and go to the book of Ecclesiastes, he says everything. This is Solomon speaking. Everything is meaningless. Everything is like chasing into the wind, and whenever you get money or you get all these things, it's all going to be passed on to the next person once you die. So that is a good Christian theistic way of saying that this place is down here anyway is futile. Now there is what conflicts with that a little bit is the idea that God has a plan for everyone, that nothing is meaningless. Everything has a plan, and this is true. But that's up there. God has a plan for everything here, but that's only a plan as it relates to up there. Down here, every project that you could possibly do is a chasing into the wind. It's futile, ambiguous, and I think that this is something that Christian theists, or any kind of theist, have to accept that. Accept that getting more money is meaningless, getting more property or stuff is meaningless, doing these things is meaningless. There are a few things that aren't meaningless, but the only things that are not meaningless down here are things that relate to things up there. Um, so I think that my real point here is that regardless of whatever religious beliefs you have, or if you have no belief, you must, regardless of anything, you must acknowledge the fact that this place down here, this world, the inner worldly things, and everything contained in this world, the beings of this world, um, every every existence, um, everything, like what de Beauvoir calls projects. All of those things are pretty meaningless. The only things of those that aren't meaningless is the fact that are those that relate to things up there in heaven, which would involve helping people, praying and such. Um, but if you're an atheist, then nothing is really meaningful at all, because there's no other realm than down here. But regardless of whatever religion you have, you are in this world. You are here, not up there. You're here, and you have to acknowledge the fact that everything that is here is futile, meaningless, and the only difference between antinatalists and theists is how you cope with this fact of ambiguity and absurdity and futility. The only difference between antinatalists and theists and all this stuff is how you cope with it, how you deal with it. But it's all the same among all the religious beliefs, is that you have to accept this fact of ambiguity, absurdity, futility, and meaninglessness. Let me know your thoughts below. Let me know if you think that there is meaning here, meaning here that is intrinsically here, and does not relate to up there. Because if there are very few things in this world that do relate to heaven, if you are a theist and you believe in heaven. But even if you are a theist, there are very few things that are here that relate to up there. The Bible says this. There are very few things here that relate to up there. So everything here, all projects, are meaningless, futile, and all the projects that you could possibly do, all hit you in the face with meaninglessness. All of it. Let me know your thoughts below.